Hello and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Joining me in the command pod this week is a bit of Paul that has become detached. Hello, part of Paul. Did you? I mean, were you removed deliberately, or did you just you just fell off? Okay. And what does that bit there? The tube. Yeah. You look like you're probably quite an important part, Paul. Is he? Can he function without you? He can. Okay. Well, it's very nice of you to join us from your bucket. Are you enjoying the show? Yes.
Very much. I think that probably. I think the people who on the pathway.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, well, thank you. No, that's. No. Can you? No, not there. Okay. Thank you. Yes. No, we'll get a sponge or something. That's fine. No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Anyway, well, that was interesting. Thanks for listening, dear readers. As always, you can find us on social media. You can find us on the remnants of Twitter at Billowing Hilltop. You can find us on Facebook. You can email us at hello@billowinghilltop.com, and the remains of Paul. We'll read your email and do something with it. I'm not sure. Stuff it into his bag. We are always grateful for any ratings or reviews that you may be kind enough to leave us on your podcast app of choice. That's it. Let us push on with episode 88 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast, the name of which came from Clean Steve 4 on Twitter. Thanks, Clean Steve 4. Things can only get better. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Hello, readers. Good morning, readers, or
good afternoon,
whatever it is, where it is that you are, both of you.
I'm not a reader.
No, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to them, Dan. Do you know about them?
What them? What, Paul and Johnny?
What's the worst that could happen?
Paul and Johnny.
What's the worst that could happen?
I'm talking about them, Dan. The readers, the people that listen in.
Right.
You've told me many times that you thought that there were secret people listening to everything you said, and I said you were paranoid. Turns out you aren't paranoid.
Yeah.
Bloke goes to the library, says, "Have you got any books on paranoia?" The librarian says, "Yeah, they're all behind you." I think I've told that joke on this before, actually.
Now you're going to have to listen back through every episode to see whether you did.
We've had a message. Shall we open Paul's distended sack?
Oh, God, not again.
A message.
Yes, a message. We've had a message. It's from Bob. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Bob.
Thanks for writing into the show. Good evening,
Kate.
says
Hello,
Bob.
Kate.
I am a keen...
Kate is short for Bob.
Poor old Bob's just written in, and he doesn't want his whole letter wound up in some Blackadder reference that barely anybody under the age of about 50 is going to understand. He's just going to think, why are you calling me Kate?
Well then, young Bob.
Bob. Good evening, says Bob. I am a keen listener to your podcast and am enjoying every episode. Keep up the excellent work. During COVID, my former D&Ders regrouped, playing Dungeons & Dragons online, and have been progressing through A Night Below, 2nd edition box set for the past 18 months. It's amazing what positives came out of lockdown. I am now up to episode 12 of your series and have the good fortune of getting the Hesty Testapod ditty stuck in my head. Sorry, Bob. I don't suppose you have a link, as now my daughters want to hear it, as I can't stop singing/humming it. Well, Bob, we will work out a way of posting a link to the Hesty Testapod song somehow.
Put it on Spotify.
There we are. I don't think. Would they accept that? How would you do that?
I don't know. We'd have to research.
Can you just put any old rubbish on Spotify?
I think you can. I think
this podcast is on Spotify, where we have 16 5-star ratings. If you ever get the chance, dear reader, to jump into your podcast app of choice and give us a nice rating, that would be useful. I also had a message. I've seen a message on social media this evening from a reader who has listened to 40 episodes in 10 days.
Have they got nothing better to do?
Well, I mean, I think they quite enjoy it. He says, I've been sucked into this and have almost done 40 eps in 10 days. Long live Burple, was his message.
Oh, long live Burple.
There you are.
He's obviously a man of distinction and taste.
I think he's got the name wrong.
I said, let's just hope nothing, unfortunately. Paul, tell us about your cheese course. Paul went on a cheese course, readers.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us all about it.
Well, one thing I discovered was that the cheeses Mike likes are called territorials.
We're not going to get into the discussion about cheese and what
You've
qualifies
just asked
as
me.
cheese, Paul.
You have just asked me.
No, I didn't ask you what qualified as. I wanted a nice civil discussion about cheese, including maybe things
It's
that you
not
consider
possible
cheese
to
that I
have a
don't
nice
consider cheese.
civil discussion with cheese with you because you don't like cheese.
There's cheddar, there's Cheshire.
Yep.
Yeah, they begin with ch. It's obvious.
Wensleydale.
Everything else is
So
the
you only
twisted
like
product
cheeses that begin with CH.
I just think that there are a basic set of cheeses, and the rest of it is twisted science. Yes, so you get COVID-19 and stuff like that coming out, and people start playing God.
I think you're
right?
very narrow-minded.
Well, that's possibly true. Yeah, no, I am.
I think there are plenty of cheeses out there. I mean, we've got loads in this country. We've got over 1,500 cheeses made in this country, which are delicious. But
1,500 blocks of cheese, Paul. I could just believe. But 1,500 types of cheese
1,500 types
sounds
of cheese.
to me like David Icke level lunacy.
No,
anyway,
are you talking about just the UK or?
Yeah, we've got more cheeses, different cheeses in the UK than they have in France.
Yeah, we've got three, and they've got none.
Name them.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, the maths isn't difficult, Paul. Anyway,
Yeah, come on, Paul, name them.
Yeah,
I'm not going to name
I
them.
can name
that cheese.
I can name
I'll
them.
name that
game
cheese
show.
in three.
There were three cheeses. It's really straightforward. I can name them. Yeah, Cheddar, Cheshire, Red Leicester.
Gruyere.
Yeah,
What
but
about
Red
Leicester?
Leicester's just
No.
a variant
Red
of
Leicester.
cheddar, isn't it?
Dan, I admit, Red Leicester. Because I'm slightly less narrow-minded than Paul likes to believe, I've allowed Red Leicester in. But I agree with
what
you.
about Gloucester?
Actually, Dan.
It's not really a
But if
proper
it doesn't
cheese.
begin with che, then it's not
And obviously,
cheese.
if it's not English,
Yes, I mean, I was going to say there are plenty of cheeses which begin with ch, which aren't English.
Cheese is an English word, Lucas.
Edam,
it's an English
Gouda,
word.
Emmentaler,
Again, the sick products of twisted science.
What about
I don't think
mozzarella?
we need
You
to
like
get into
mozzarella,
this.
don't you?
Mozzarella's
Gruyere.
a topping.
Dindy.
Did
Why did the cheese get banned from the circus?
Oh, God, I'm terrified. Why?
Because he only had one stilt on.
Oh,
Thank you.
God.
Thank you.
You have to approach this whole subject very carefully. Right.
D&D.
Sorry, no more cheese. Well, they're not cheese jokes, are they? Right? Because they're about some other. Anyway,
You have to approach the subject very carefully.
we did that just then.
Yeah, we've just done that one, Paul.
Then we just did it.
Oh, for
this
God's
is what I'm saying.
sake.
You know nothing about cheese. You just blunder into these. Anyway, where were we?
I know more about cheese than you do.
Where were
Philistine.
we actually? I can't remember where we were. Oh, we're in the cairn. We're back in the cairn.
Me.
I need to go to the right map,
Thanks,
don't
Johnny.
I? Because you're in the cairn. Yeah. You've been fighting a black dragon, Ilthane the black dragon. She had fled the scene, and you're left to your own devices in our old friend, the Whispering Cairn. And as we left things, Burple had started acting slightly strangely as you explored it. Burple had acted even more strangely than usual.
Differently, strangely.
Because you found that a passage, a cavern corridory thing that was previously blocked when you came to the cairn the first time is now unblocked. Where are we going to start? Who wants to start with what?
Does it look like you could store cheese down here?
I mean, yes, because it's a
cave.
It's a cave.
It's good ambient temperature. It might be the right humidity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just
It's a good
checking
question,
the
Paul.
future.
It's the one I was
That's
about
a
to
very
ask,
good
but you
question,
got there
Paul.
first.
Well,
Yeah.
we could let's get right into it.
I'm
because
going up to
let's
Burple, have a
what
look
is
down
it
that corridor, down the new corridor.
Okay, Mike.
What you see, Buggy, is Burple seems to be sort of slightly transfixed. We'll come back to what Burple is doing in a second. We'll just go in any order. But at the end of that corridor, have you got a light source? Yes, you have. You've got your
Light pebble. And also my flaming sword. Gives out light.
You can see at the end of this passage that there is an object that looks like a wooden frame on a stand on a little plinth. The wooden frame is a semicircle, and then within it, held within it, a bit like a mirror in a frame, one of those turny full-length mirrors, is an oval, a large oval of a sort of solid black material. That's what you can see, Buggy. You've never seen anything like it.
But that's not what I'm
is this-
seeing, right?
No. Burple, where Buggy sees a solid black surface, you see a space, a gap leading somewhere dark. I mean, you don't know why. First of all, this thing is glowing blue as far as you're concerned, Burple.
Right.
The whole thing is kind of dimly glowing, almost like a fairy fire kind of effect. Second thing is that the black surface that occupies the center of this frame, the meat in the sandwich, the cheese in the cheese donut, is not a solid black surface, but a space, a doorway, a gateway.
Because you got the sword
opening.
as Osiel, right? So it's giving you some sort of entry.
Question. You can also feel a sort of weird compulsion. You know me asked me at the end of last session whether or not this was it.
Yes.
I took your question to mean, is this the thing that we know, well, you and I, Dan, know that Burple has sort of been seeking but didn't know what he was seeking. You definitely get a sense of this must be something to do with the itch that you can't scratch. Yes, you feel a sort of weird compulsion to approach this thing. Not an irresistible compulsion, but you feel a compulsion to know more about it. It feels like it's part of whatever is missing from your brain. Yeah.
Okay. Can I do a light spell and throw it through? And so I'll do it on a stone, on a pebble.
Oh, that's a good question.
And I'll try and throw it through.
No is the simple answer to that question. Where you can see an opening, when the light spell gets to the point where you think the opening begins, and what Buggy can see is this light spell arc through the air and impact against this black surface, which seems to ripple weirdly, Buggy, like the surface of a pond or something. There's a rune carved, now that the light pebble is sitting right square up to this thing. There's a rune cast on the front facing of the plinth that this thing is resting on. Burple, you recognise it.
I do. As being...
It's the same rune as was carved on the plinth of the opposite doorway. Well, whatever it is. And it's the rune of Icosiol. You know that rune means Icosiol in Auran, the language of the elemental plane of air and perhaps the wind dukes.
Yeah.
That's something that you would remember from before when you explored the cairn before.
Okay. I'm moving up to this thing. Can I stick my hand through this thing?
Yes.
Can I throw the light spell once my hand is through?
Yes, you can. You can push the light pebble through the plane of this object. The moment that it is through and your hand is holding it, you can see through into a chamber corridor type thing. We'll just move across to the other map just briefly so that you can see this.
Okay.
Tonight's beer, by the way, Mike, is Arbor Texas Sunday Morning. A hazy India nice. Pale Ale. It's Amarillo, Citra, and Idaho 7. It's quite strong, though. It's 6.5%. It's delicious.
Tonight's beer for me is Cloudwater. Of course.
Delicious.
Well, it's left over from the D&D weekend, which was enormously good fun. Readers, we've all been away playing D&D for days and days, and it was an enormous laugh. Can you see anything when I do that?
No, I can see black.
Black.
Can you see anything now?
Yes.
Okay, so that is a space that seems to exist on the other side of this. I think that's about as far as your light spell is going to show. It's a 20-foot wide, I don't know, is it a room, is it a passage, is it a door, is it a jar? You can see there seems to be sort of an opening at the other end of that area, but I think your light spell's not going to show you much more than that. Maybe dimly you can see that there might be a space beyond the end of this, but that the opening into that space is only 10 foot wide. Your hand, when it passes across the plane of this thing, feels extremely cold to you, Burple. But the other side, the temperature feels the same as it is where you are, and you can detect a strong air current, like one of those Dyson hand dryer things.
Okay.
Is the best way I
Is
can...
it making the same
it's
noise?
The best way I can... There's no noise coming across the plane of this thing to you.
No, okay.
Do it, Dan. Just go through.
What?
Just go through it.
Are you coming?
Yeah, I'm coming.
All Buggy can see is
I'm
Burple
stepping
just
through.
reaching his hand into the surface of this thing. You're stepping through.
Yeah.
And if the rest of us can't get through and you can't get back, that'll be
Do
interesting.
you have dark vision, Burple?
I have dark vision.
You have dark vision.
I have dark
You
vision.
have dark vision.
And a light spell, obviously.
30 feet or 60 feet?
60 feet.
Okay, well, let's open up a little bit more because you can see past the end of this thing. When you step through, so first of all, I should tell you something. When you step through, Burple, many things happen within you.
You're dead.
Oh.
The first thing that happens within you is you feel a weird sense of completeness. It doesn't feel like a completed process, but you feel that something that's been bothering you forever that you've not been able to articulate. You feel a weird sense that somebody just found that missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle that had fallen down the back of the sofa.
Oh, bless.
Right.
Second thing is you also feel weirdly diminished in a way that you just cannot put your mind upon.
Shrunk to the size of a mouse.
Well, I mean, it could be that you've been transformed to the size of a mouse. Yes, and that you're standing in a shoebox.
Okay.
But it feels more like a spiritual diminishment, and you're not quite sure what that is. The third thing and more disturbingly than all of these things, is that during the point where your body was passing across the plane of this thing, your mind was suddenly seized by a vision of a river of blood that you felt compelled to throw yourself into and follow its current.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So
I know that one.
While I was sort of, just to clarify, while I was traversing
Precisely.
the plane of the whatever this is, this gate.
Yes.
I had a vision of a river of blood.
Yes.
That I wanted to follow.
Yes, that's basically exactly
right.
It. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Can I see the banks of the river of this blood? If I know it, I must be able to. If it's a river, I must be able to see the banks.
It was more of an unformed thing. It was like an impression in your mind rather than something that you've you're taking a mental photograph that you can refer back to. Anyway, that's what you can see.
And can I travel back again?
You can. You find yourself back in the passageway.
Right. I will report to the others what I have found.
Okay. Others?
Others, it's another space. It's a gate.
Let's go.
This is role-playing at its finest.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This really is.
Come on.
There's only one place this can work.
Let's get through there.
Well, let's proceed forward.
Okay.
Alessandra takes a running.
Well, this seems significant to me, right, Mike? I knew it was a gate, and it sort of resonates with my background.
It resonates with something, yes.
And so
it certainly seems significant to you.
I
would say that it's significant.
Investigate.
Period, as it were, because you've visited the cairn before. Well, all of you apart from Buggy and Alessandra.
Yes.
And not found this. It looks like somebody's uncovered this since you were last here.
Hestetestapod, we think.
Could be.
His
travelling trunk is tucked away in one of the side passages. Buggy saw it when you were fighting the dragon.
Okay, so I'll call out to see if Hestetestapod appears.
Yeah, fine. Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. So it's probably safe to assume he might have gone through or gone somewhere else, but either way, we can ignore that for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, unless he's deeper in the cairn. I mean,
yes.
there's a lot more cairn that you're not,
Anybody fancy doing a short rest before we carry on?
Yes.
I was going to say, what
I'm
kind
on
of
5 hit
state
points.
are you in? Well, okay, that's not great.
I'm on maximum.
I'm on maximum.
I'm also on maximum.
I've done quite a few spells, though.
I don't mind taking a long rest.
Should we do a long rest?
Yeah.
It's about 2:15 in the morning on Wednesday, the 3rd of Fart.
Long rest would be good. I took quite a lot of damage in that.
Yeah.
In the 595th year of the regiment or the order.
Let's take a long rest.
Which side of the thing is Dan on?
I'm back on the cairn
side. The cairn side. Let's go back to the old map.
Are we taking a long rest? Or a short rest?
Takes you through to the
Are
morning.
we undisturbed if we take a long rest?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dragon doesn't return, if that's what you're worried about.
Okay, so long rest. Pressing the long rest.
Pressing the
button.
Long rest.
No.
Dragon's also taking a long rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You can, I mean...
Are we pressing the button?
Yeah.
Yes, that takes you through the night and into the morning. The rosy fingers of dawn slowly creep their way into the cavern as the day begins.
So I will, since nobody's asked, I will volunteer
That's
some
poetic.
information
Oh.
to everybody.
They just think you're scaly bonds.
They just, they
what's going
become
on.
scaly.
Attack.
I don't know very much, by the way.
Oh, in that case, well, let's carry on then.
Much.
But because I apparently I was about 3 or 4 when I was briefed. But my dad. So do you remember we got the piece of paper from the faceless one that joined with the other piece of paper? You remember that?
Yeah.
And on that
Wow.
it describes a figure with white eyes. Well, that's basically who. Well, I seem to remember a figure like that from my early childhood, and I think that. My mum died from the Red Death, and my dad left. I think I also had a brother. But what I'm beginning to suspect is that my dad was a Wendim.
A what?
Well, a figure of some sort that may be related to the Wind Dukes.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll have noticed, by the way, everybody, that Burple is clearly not much of a sharer.
Yes.
Since this is only coming up now. But I mean, I suppose you've only known each other for a couple of weeks, thinking about it in terms of D&D
Well,
time.
we've been to the capital. We've been to the games.
Somebody
probably
give me
more
a
than-
flat intelligence check, or anybody who's got religion or history or proficiency in Arcana can
Got +4 on
roll.
religion. Go on then.
Sessions gets a flat 18.
Okay, Sessions. If you reach back into your mind about the lore that you feel that you've picked up over the scant couple of weeks that you've been adventuring, the lore that relates to the Wind Dukes, of which there was an awful lot at the beginning of this story, but not very much since. You do remember a reference to something called the Wendeem that Burple has just mentioned. You don't know whether or not Burple knows this, so you can share it with him. But the Wendeem are one tribe, caste, whatever, of the Wind Dukes. Can't remember very much about what sets them apart from the rest of the Wind Dukes. But if Burple feels that some figure in his childhood was a Wendeem, if he's picked up that word from somewhere, from his mum or something, that would make sense that they were therefore a Wind Duke of sorts. Yeah.
Good ones
the
or
people
bad
that
ones?
Built all of this. Well, Wind Dukes are good people. They are the people that fought off the Queen of Chaos and Miska the Wolf Spider millennia ago in the Battle of the Fields of Pesh, using the Rod of Law, which broke into multiple fragments at the point that Miska the Wolf Spider was banished to another plane and the victory was won. You know this. I mean, I have no illusions about whether or not you know this, but your characters know this from the lore they picked up at the beginning. They know that Icosiol and Zosiel were involved in that very struggle.
Right.
Zosiel, whose tomb you've already found, was involved in the battle, but that Icosiol, you feel, may have been the figure who used the Rod of Law to banish Miska the Wolf Spider. So Icosiol is a really serious Wind Duke hero. And the Wendeem, your recollection, Sessions, is that Wendeem are a tribe or family or caste of the Wind Dukes.
Okay. Well, I relay that to everyone for fear of forgetting it very quickly.
Yeah, well, it's all going to be recorded, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I suspect that I may have traits. So I'm drawn to this gate, I guess. So I can sense that that it's there, but I couldn't find it, and I suspect that it's something to do with this, with my mother and my father. And
okay,
that's
cool.
Yeah, so that's what I know. Your mother died 19 years ago, and you're what, 20 something? 23, 24, 25?
25.
So anything that you've picked up, therefore, any recollections that you're drawing upon now must have been picked up by you before you were 5 or 6 years old. No wonder your understanding of this stuff is a little sketchy.
Yes.
Cool. Right, what next?
Oh, a couple of things. You mentioned finding things. So there's something to do with Hesty here. What was that gave us the impression he was here?
Well, in one of the side tunnels that run off as you pushed your way into the cairn during the Black Dragon fight, Buggy spotted Hesty's travelling trunk and some sandwiches that were scattered around.
Okay, and within Hesty's travelling trunk, is there anything that's obviously Hesty?
I mean, the person?
Yeah, well, anything that is clearly of his.
Oh, loads of his stuff. I mean, I think probably 1 or 2 of his spare micro gowns will be in there with the chasing dragon motif.
Okay.
Plus some of his curly-toed slippers. One of his nightcaps. You know, those kinds of things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take one of those. Also look for anything that might be part of him. Toenail clippings.
Physically part of him, like a hair or something? Yeah. Okay. I think we can. I mean, this isn't CSI Diamond Lake.
Just think what physical residue might be on one of his micro gowns.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think we're talking about some residue, something that's been brushed against the lower hem of one of those gowns.
Perfect.
From something that has swung against that hem. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay, well, I will, yes, treat it with all due care and stick it in my backpack.
You'll have to. Yeah.
Respect.
Are you going to cup it gently in your hand?
If possible, I'm going to pick it up on the end of my mace and gently drop it into my backpack.
Fine. And you can find something. Yeah.
Then I want to go and find something. I'm going to go and scour the remains of the dragon battle.
Oh, these are spell components.
I'm looking for scales.
Yes, you find some black dragon scale fragments.
Excellent. I'm going to take those as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to start.
You can do that during your rest, obviously.
Yeah, because I'm going to start memorising scrying as a spell.
Burple's already got scrying, hasn't he?
Has he?
Used it to track Rachnian the other day when you were
down
slightly
in the
concerned about where Rachnian might have got to.
We were
Oh, well, then I'm not going to
weren't
bother
we?
memorising that. I'm just going to point out to Burple these things would be useful for him.
What else is anybody doing during your long rest?
Nothing.
I'm going
So let's move
to
on.
tune to the flame tongue sword.
Okay.
Are there
Just
any
so that you know.
dead bodies around?
No.
Oh.
By the way, Johnny, I've been catching up with our previous adventures, and there was an extended discussion about whether or not you would animate the dead body of Grimbold
Yeah.
to use as your servant.
Can we say he's in my bag of holding?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I'll take him out. I'll do animate dead on him.
I find this very distressing, Uncle Buggy.
Oh, sorry, Cousin Sessions.
You've just got to let go, man.
Yeah, man.
It'd be like he's with us again.
Well,
it probably is affected.
He is with you again. It's just not perhaps in the way that, well, maybe you can abandon him again as well. Just
I suppose,
leave it to his
yeah.
own fate. Yeah.
Alessandra's going to go up and see if she can put her hand through this same portal gate.
It appears from what Burple has described to you, it doesn't resemble Burple's description. As far as Burple is concerned, it seems to be an opening.
Yeah.
But for you, it's like a solid black surface that every now and again you can kind of detect a sort of kind of ripple, liquidy, warpy sort of movement.
It's like putting your hand through a glass, a window pane rather than an open window.
Yes, or sticking your hand into a pool of tar or oil or something like that, perhaps. It feels cold, very cold as your hand goes through it.
Yeah.
You feel like almost a sort of tug, Alessandra. You feel like once your hand is through, it's like it's very, very natural just to relax your body and let yourself go, and this thing would just kind of pull you through if you wanted to.
Have we finished our long rest?
Yeah.
Yeah. She looks around. Everybody else goes, shall we?
Yeah,
Buggy,
why
you
not?
coming?
Yeah.
Sessions, you coming?
Yeah.
Right behind you.
Parker, you behind me?
Yeah.
Any second now.
Any second
Won't be
now.
long.
All right, I'll go. I'll relax myself and let myself go.
And before you know it,
And the last
you find
thing
yourself
I think about...
in the chamber that Burple described to you.
Uncle Buggy will proceed forward also.
Thank
Uncle Buggy,
cheese
you're
for
just-
that.
With Grimbold.
Yeah, got it. Alessandra, Buggy and Grimbold, you're standing in this chamber. It's 20 foot across, left to right. It stretches away ahead of you before there is an opening into a following chamber that's only 10 foot wide. So it looks like it opens into a wider space.
Mm-hmm.
What's your dark vision, Alessandra?
60.
So you can see down this passageway about 50 feet to the opening at the end, and then it opens out, and you can see about 10, 20 feet into this other chamber. There is the suggestion on your right, past the opening into this subsequent chamber, that there are some sort of weird spiky somethings kind of sticking out into your field of view on the right. There is a howling wind all around you, so strong as to make conversation difficult. You think, for example, Uncle Buggy, you're a spellcaster. Yep.
A mighty wind.
You
What
think
may I say?
that it might make spellcasting a bit difficult. Certainly anything with a verbal component might be quite challenging.
Ah.
There's no light apart from what is being emitted by the light spell that Burple left in here before he came back and picked you up in the cairn. That is all I can tell you.
I think I'd like to go as probe mode.
And you can see on our map our little spiky protuberances that you can just make out. Burple is moving up a little bit. You can see a little bit more Burple.
Can I come through?
Yes, absolutely. Sessions, you can step through the portal. A strange cold sensation as you cross the plane of this thing, but no weird
Getting worried
visions
now.
or
You're
anything
leaving
else.
Parker to last.
Okay.
It's not going to go well, is it?
Alessandra's going to move up as probe.
Well,
Obviously,
Parker, are you coming through?
I am, yes.
It says, only the real Parker may pass. Feels very cold. It feels alien. You feel you're being moved through from one side of something to another side of something. But actually, your sense, your kind of orientation and your physical sense is that you're now 5 feet away from where you were before you stepped through it.
given the wind, I don't think there's any need for any stealth checks. Alessandra's going to step up to the kind of the doorway on the opposite side of the corridor.
Yeah.
So she can see more about what's going on with these spikes and what's going on in the next room.
So let me reveal a little bit more to you. You can see, Alessandra, as you approach the opening into this other chamber, you can see that you're looking into a chamber with columns.
Oh, yeah. Spiky things.
Yeah, there's strange spiky things, and there's a wall on the far side from you. So you're looking to your east, and you're looking at a wall that's running from north to south, straight in front of you, about 40 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
In this chamber that you're peering into, there is a weird kind of, like on Saving Private Ryan, like on the Normandy beaches, the tank trap things.
The tank traps.
Right, there's a weird assemblage of sort of spikes, like jacks or tank traps or something. They look absolutely lethal. They look jagged. You can't tell if they're like a natural spine-like material, or if they're a carved or crafted or created glass-like metallic sharpened material. But whatever they are, they cover a kind of area of about 5 foot by about 15 foot sitting in front of you, and you can see on your right, just inside this chamber, there's another one quite near the opening.
Yeah, I reckon obviously these spiky things are just primed to attack.
Or to be blown or flung against.
The ceiling's about 40 feet high in this chamber. The ceiling in the passageway that you're in, the wide passageway you're in, is only about 12, 15 feet. There are stone pillars running from floor to ceiling. They're intricately carved. They're not rough-hewn. Looks like the finest, only the finest materials.
Mm-hmm.
You can make out on your right, that means on the southern wall of this chamber, Alessandra, a double door, a large stone double door. On either side of that door are carved stone images of tall, elongated humanoid forms. Not a species that you're familiar with, but some kind of humanoid. In between the carvings of these forms, but not including the door that sits between them, are little openings. Each one is about an inch in diameter. So the wall is dotted with these little holes. Underneath each of these holes is a little basin about the size of an apple, right? So you could maybe presume that maybe if water was to flow from one of these holes, it would, like a drinking fountain, it would fill the little basin that was sitting beneath it. Very odd. Very odd. There are strange undulations in the carving of both the walls and the doors, which make them seem more like a curtain than a level surface. I don't want to get into with Parker about surfaces and levels and stuff like that, because we'll start running around on them. Twisting runes wind over the walls. Again, you're not familiar with the script, Alessandra. And in a final detail, just exactly the kind of detail that adventurers hate. The floor has got channels carved in it, as if to transport water, but nothing flows there now.
This is like one of those many rooms which we hear about and we never ever figure it out. It's a puzzle.
Let's pick up
never.
with Buggy, Sessions, Parker, Burple.
I will command the zombie to proceed forward into the room.
So, Uncle Buggy, you're running up to the doorway?
I'm going up to the doorway.
To stand by Alessandra?
Yep. And the zombie
You can see a bit more, Buggy. Let me just show you what else you can see when you go there. Your angle has opened up a bit more of a view
Well, I'm going
of
to the doorway until I can see the whole room. Not stepping into the room, just in the doorway.
So you can see that the room extends. There's more of it to the north than there is to the south. You're coming into this room in its western wall, about 2/3 of the way down from the northern wall of the room. Sorry, readers, this is all horrible geography, but basically it's a big chamber running from right to left as they're coming into it. These columns are spaced out relatively equally in rows from south to north.
Okay, the zombie will go into the room.
So basically, this isn't quite respect for Grimbold. You've just basically recreated him so that he can be your sort of stooge. So much for the respect for the dead.
I don't want to get into this kind of discussion.
No.
Yeah, you're probably right. But
Bad Uncle Buggy. I think that's what,
How much do we know about... I mean, Grimbold is what, a zombie?
Do zombies have
zombie.
feelings?
Yep.
Does zombies communicate? Can you talk to this zombie?
I can
Do
command
you know
it.
Yeah, so it can understand it when you say, walk forwards, open the door,
Yeah.
right? That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
But can it tell you what it senses?
Its intelligence is 3. Understands the language it knew in life, but can't speak.
Fine. Okay, well, it's standing there. Give me a perception check. And can Alessandra, Burple, Parker, and Sessions... In fact, everybody give me wisdom survival checks. So a perception check from Buggy, and then survival checks from everyone.
Sessions
got a
gets
17.
23 survival.
12 survival.
Okay.
Get 2 good
Okay,
rolls.
stop rolling survival checks.
7 for my...
And what was your perception check?
7.
Fine. Sessions. While everybody else is fanning out into this corridor, you notice something. You notice tracks on the floor. Despite the fact that these crazy air currents are blowing through this chamber, there are still traces of what look like you think a humanoid has passed this way. You think that they're tolerably recent, these tracks, right? We're not looking at something that was laid down eons ago. It wasn't yesterday, but it was relatively recent.
Okay. I will.
That's what your survival check tells you.
I will share that information. Is there any indication?
Like a single individual processing from where you've come through the gate through to where the others are heading into that main chamber.
Sorry, I missed that. What have you seen, Graham?
Tracks.
Footprints. It all seems quite obviously Hesty leading. Are we being led down a false
Down
track
the garden
here?
path, yeah.
Yeah, it's all very easily. This is Hesty. This is where he went.
I think Hesty is on our side.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that. It's whether or not we're being led down something on the assumption that we're following Hesty when it's not. I'm just waiting for these spikes to attack.
It's windy here, isn't it?
Yeah, let's just be aware.
So these spiky things are going to start flying in the air and shredding everybody.
Well, can we prepare any defensive type spells? That's the question. I can do see invisibility.
I've got a gust of wind.
I don't have gust of wind. I have daylight. I have wall of force.
Spirit guardians.
A wall of force. I have a wall of force. Cool. I have 2 walls of force, in fact.
What about Parker? What about Burple? What about?
I'm going to advance a little bit. So where do the tracks go?
The tracks run effectively west to east, straight through this chamber and into the main chamber.
But when they get to the chamber, where do they go?
They sort of idle a little. They head further east into the centre of the chamber. Give me a survival check.
13.
You think that they head south towards the double doors in the south of the room. That would be your sense. It's a little bit confused, but that's what you think.
Okay.
What we need is Grimbold to kick off the combat. Then we can get to
Grimbold, the zombie will head towards the southern doors.
Paul? Scout is different from kind of catalyst to combat.
Yeah, but we've got to scout that door to the south now that we know that that's the way forward.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
You're a rogue rogue, aren't you?
Yeah, that's your job.
Rogue rogue. But I can't go
You'll read the small print on the character
sheet. Listen at the door in a howling wind.
Oh, I mean,
try to
spot traps, check whether it's locked. There are all sorts of useful things that Rogue Probe can do.
Grimbold is moving to, I'd say, go explore the southern door to the zombie.
Okay, so what? Grimbold is going to stump sort of what? South?
Yeah, towards the doors.
East?
How's it going to tell you if it's found anything?
Towards the doors?
Hmm?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, so...
Yeah, I'm just shouting instructions in the doorway.
Okay, the zombie of Grimbold stumps towards the doors, looking particularly sullen, but then there's no, real difference from the Grimbold we all knew.
Open the door! Open the door, I say.
Grimbold...
slamming against the door or something.
Yes, Grimbold sort of pushes and sort of leans against this door and maybe, manhandles it. But cannot. I mean, there's no obvious handle on this door.
Have we hit another door scenario?
You're good at doors, aren't you, Paul?
Well, yeah. All right. Let's just hope he doesn't.
What about Parker? Because Parker's not done anything.
Me.
Sitting in the back of the class there. Parker.
If it is the real Parker.
I don't feel you have to contribute. Yeah, we're all welcome here. Everybody's able to take this on at their own pace. But if you want to do something, don't let the others steal the limelight.
I'm just
let's go back to
moment.
Okay.
Actually, I'll move up a little bit.
Yeah, Alessandra's
moving up towards the thing. Session's moving up. So you're all kind of congregating.
Alessandra will move up to the door.
Near the doorway into this big chamber.
Alessandra will move up to the door. She'll try and look for traps and investigate.
Okay. Alessandra.
Yes.
Let's trace it through on the map. You just show me which squares you stepped in.
All right.
Just I want to know how you made your way through the room.
I made my way into the room.
Move your miniature square at a time so that we
towards
can see.
The middle.
Exactly. Because then each time you move your miniature one square, I can determine whether or not anything happens. Okay, so that's fine. You step into that square. Next square you stepped into, just to be certain. And then?
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Then to there. Yep. Fine. You make your way to the double doors. Give me a perception check.
That'll be a grand 12. Terrible roll.
A couple of things.
Yes.
The double doors have got a very, very faintly recessed design carved into them. You need to be that close to determine it, but it's a single upward pointing broad arrow. It's about 4 foot high, this design, carved across the two doors, so it would be split in two were the doors to be opened. The second thing that happens, Alessandra, is when you step into that square in front of the door, the little apple-sized basins that sit underneath the holes on either side of you, interspersed around the carvings of these strange humanoids,
you little bugger,
start to emit a vapor. It runs up and along and melds with these reliefs on the wall, generating a fluid image. It basically something that Burple, who's standing in the doorway, recognizes from.
Yeah, we saw these before, didn't we?
Yes, in the true tomb of Zosiel.
Yeah.
Earlier in your journey as adventurers, it's all about the truth.
They're like historical story.
Yes,
effect.
it sort of animates. It's like a sort of weird wind duke cinema thing. The gas plays over the carvings to animate them, and you see a scene wherein a figure that Burple you recognise as being the figure Icosiol, who you've seen in previous carvings in the other parts of the cairn. You see Icosiol fighting at the Battle of Pesh, fighting twisted creatures of chaos. It's a sort of general scene, but it resolves into a final detail, a final image, which shows Icosiol forming an alliance with a powerful creature. Now, the creature sort of emerges out of this interplay between the gas and the carvings, looks nothing more like one of the giant mechanized suits of armor that were operated by the Anvil of Thump. The scale tells you that it's larger than the suits of armor that the Anvil of Thump operated, but it's the same principle. It's like a sort of animated, mechanized, metallic, constructed creature.
A construct
of some sort. Icosiol seems to form an alliance with this machine, this construct thing, and then at the end of the display, Icosiol is depicted holding a large square seal. Not seal. Seal as in seal of office, seal of power, like a large object, and a long rod or staff in the other, as if to display them to the viewer. The moment that the picture of this staff resolves in the image, Burple, you are seized by a strange compulsion to approach, but you can resist it. As quickly as it appears,
I don't mind
gone.
approaching.
Sure. Show me how you're approaching. Just show me which squares you're walking through as you approach.
I will follow the same path.
So you're following the path that Alessandra has. Okay, yeah.
Where's
fine.
the door? The door's. I don't know where.
The door's in the centre of the southern wall. Alessandra and the zombie of Grimbold.
I can't really get any closer. So.
Zombold. No, you don't feel like it's just that you saw when you see this staff depicted in as part of the interplay.
Yeah. Does it look?
That's like
with this staff. What is it? A rod or is it a staff?
Is it a door or is it a jar? It is
it's the rod of 7 parts.
A rod or staff. You know from your earlier encounters with the lore of the Battle of Pesh, all of those characters who survived from that long ago, which is actually not that many of you, that during this battle, Icosiol used an artifact called the Rod of Law to banish an entity called Miska the Wolf Spider to a far plane and thus win the battle, and that through so banishing Miska the Wolf Spider, the Rod of Law shattered into 7 pieces.
Yeah.
Fragments of the Rod of Law, otherwise colloquially known as the Rod of 7 Parts. Maybe that's what Icosiol is brandishing.
But does it look like it might be a piece, or just it's just an animation?
And it's just an animation. It's just right. and it's intact. Yes, your understanding of the Rod of 7 Parts is that there are 7 ragged fragments of this once wonderful object. This is the wonderful object in its full form.
Right.
Sessions, Burple, Alessandra, give me intelligence checks. Buggy, give me an intelligence check.
Not my strongest suit.
Oh, no, Sessions wasn't paying attention that day.
I think it's a 19.
7.
Burple, looking at this door, the symbol that Alessandra has determined is carved into it. You know what that symbol means, Burple.
Yeah.
It is the symbol of law.
Right.
The alignment of law, the plane of law, the metaphysical force of law with a capital L.
Right.
Yeah, as in Judge Dredd. Like law in big gold letters.
Yeah. I'm neutral.
Like the 20th Century Fox logo. Law. That's what that arrow means.
Does it look magical?
No, it just looks like a carving, but you know that's what it symbolizes. You know the symbol, the equivalent symbol for chaos is a multi-pointed arrow.
That's Michael Moorcock, isn't it?
Well, it certainly echoes that kind of Elric, Melnibonian mythos. Yes.
Well, are you going to open the door?
Don't know. You can open the door.
Have you checked it for traps?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance.
Oh, get on with it.
I mean, Grimbold's failed to
get
open
on with it. I'll head back.
Right, I'm going to get out a...
Yeah, give me a perception check.
Well, I'm just going to get out a pen and paper, because this time I'm going to write instructions on how to open a door.
Let's keep it moving.
A 26.
You don't notice any strangenesses about this door. You think that it opens towards you. There's no handle. You think you just basically have to slip your practiced fingers into the crack and give it a good tug.
I will slip my practiced fingers
into the crack
and give it a good tug.
Okay, when you do so, first of all, the twin double doors swing open, revealing a passageway leading to your south. That ends in another set of double doors. In front of you, to the south of you, about 20 feet, there is a large statue. It looks like it's a statue of a wind duke. Alessandra, your understanding of wind dukes is sketchy. But
yes.
You picked it up from the others. This wind duke might be something to do with justice, because it's carrying in one hand a great sword that is holding like a long sword, and in the other hand it is holding out a balance, a set of scales.
Yeah.
Next thing you notice is that it forms the center of a crossroads, so there are passageways leading off to your right and your left as you look south. Passageway off to your right, normal passageway. Passageway off to your left, a blast furnace-like heat is emitting from that area. You can see the glow of either glowing coals or fire or something, and you can feel the warmth blowing around that corner and north up the passageway towards you.
Okay.
It's a tangible heat, and you can hear the crackle and roar of a fire.
Is it still really windy?
Not where you're standing. No, there is less wind in the chamber that you're in now.
Okay.
But you have nevertheless got a breeze blowing into your face now that you've opened this door. Surrounding this statue are floating globes of light. Seem to be orbiting this statue, very slowly progressing around it at a distance of a kind of couple of feet.
Ironstones.
Yeah.
More like sort of dim orange wear lights. As the door opens and you look at this scene, Sessions, Parker, Buggy, Burple, from the corridor behind you, manifesting themselves out of the very air, the roaring air currents that are bedeviling you, 3 figures appear. They seem half made of air, half made of smoke. They seem vicious, they seem clawed, they seem malevolent, and they rush towards you, reaching for you, and we will find out what they mean for you and just how much trouble you're in when we pick things up.
We're not in trouble.
Week.
Bastard.
Might be.
Nasty.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. A Gathering of Winds and Age of Worms are copyright Paizo. A Gathering of Winds was written by Wolfgang Bauer. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening.
Hello folks, and welcome to the promo of Role-Playing as Smart People, the podcast that focuses on all things tabletop, from RPG design, GMing, and casual nerd talk about all the games we love and hate. What you can expect from the podcast is professionalism. Leave it in. Genuine conversation.
I can't cast magic for real. I don't know what it means to have, 160 IQ and have gone to a wizard school.
Hard-hitting topics.
If you had to kill a puppy every time your game was sold,
God,
would you continue killing puppies?
Professionalism at its finest. Who am I kidding? We're just a bunch of guys who love RPGs and love to talk about them at any chance. You can find us wherever podcasts are found. Just search Role-Playing as Smart People on the Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, and pretty much everywhere else. See you soon!